Hello, this is the FAQ of Design Thinking 101. And the first question we are going to answer today is how reliable is the data in your customer journey map, or how reliable should it be? Is it data that is is it proof of concept? Is it a proof, or what is the data that you need to build a journey map? And I think when we're talking journey map in this context, it is a research stage journey map. So, right. So Maarten, what is your opinion about the data that you need to build that journey map, and how reliable is it to basically make decisions based on that data?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, I think it's important to realize that building personas and journeys is, I mean, the input data is usually subjective because it's a selection of sources that you found. Sometimes, and it's also a combination of different sources. So it can be that, especially your interaction with your customers, you have a lot of data about, so that can be quite extensive. But of course, you're not so much interested in the interactions that you have with your customer, because you're mostly interested, or where you can find some new insights, is usually in where you don't have any interactions with your customer. So there you need to find other sources of data, and those data are by definition subjective, because you select some of the parts that you can find in qualitative research, and even if it's through interviews, then it's also subjective because it's self-reporting. So you don't always know, people don't always do what they say, and vice versa. So that is always a selection. And of course, the more data, the better in some way, but it's always tricky. So you really have to be careful to think about, do I have a diverse source of information rather than do I have the right source of information? Because you don't know what's right and wrong. And you will discover during customer journey mapping, for example, that you're missing a lot of data.
Right. Yeah. And so it can make you very insecure. Especially in most companies, there's a culture of fear, and because you don't want to make any mistakes, and you don't want to look stupid, and you want to you want to really validate every step that you take. Yep. So if you compare this to a lot of the research, the hardcore research methodologies to validate certain customer needs or customer insights, opposed to this qualitative design methodology, I can really understand that you're like, okay, so is it true? This is a question I get a lot, right? Yeah. So okay. So is it true? I think it's true because I talk to these people, but how many people do I talk to? How many people make it true, and it's always an interpretation. Yes. So in the current corporate cultures, and generalizing a little bit, obviously, where does it sit? Where do you say this is? How do I make? So how do I get through this insecurity of, if you really ask me, do you believe that this journey map really visualizes and maps out the real truth of what a customer goes through or persona goes through, and where the pain points are and what their needs are? How much, where is it? How do you help people like that to kind of get?
Well, I think so. First of all, I'm afraid I cannot help them, because insecurity is part of this process. Fundamentally, design thinking is both research and designing, and which means, and designing is per definition about trying to imagine possibilities, and you use data as sources, but your goal is not to find the truth. Your goals are to find insights that help you build better solutions. And these better solutions are a continuous process of research. So so it's not like, okay, now I've done all the research and now I know everything and now I can stop researching because now I can. No, it's a process, and continually but the more with every step, you learn more about what you're looking for, and then you can go into finding data that helps you or counters those insights.
Right.
So I think that is a fundamental issue.
But so what I then think is that it is not, because we're looking at a methodology, a tool isolated from the process. And then
Yes.
we say, I'm using this tool and I'm putting all this data in, and
Yeah.
how am I sure it's right? But it doesn't work that way. It works
No.
it needs to be part of a process of
Exactly.
continuously gathering data,
Exactly. Yeah.
and then it makes sense. But if you kind of put this sort of iterative way of working in a very linear
Yeah.
process, it makes you very much insecure
Yeah.
because
Of course.
because it doesn't fit. It's
No.
like, yeah, because it's a, it's a jigsaw puzzle. You're in one jigsaw puzzle, and there's another puzzle,
Yeah.
and your piece doesn't fit into the puzzle that you're in.
Yeah.
So and that makes you insecure. It's like, it doesn't fit. Is that no? Because
No, but
you're supposed to build a different puzzle, and it's
yeah.
supposed to be part of a process that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think so. I think the difference is that in the traditional kind of linear way of thinking, where we tend to think, okay, we need to analyze everything, and then we make a decision, and these are all the requirements, and then we're going to make the solution that fits those conclusions. And the problem with that is you never know when you know enough, because you don't know what you don't know, and then you start building a solution, and by the time you finish that, because that's a huge process, you have discovered that your solution doesn't work. So it's better and smarter to work iteratively and make a lot of options,
Yes.
and go through those cycles, and the iterative cycles, to every step a little bit more.
Yes,
So you will become secure in the end. But the problem is that to get there, you need to take that as
yes.
a given.
Yes, and tension is part of stress, and
Yes.
tension and insecurity, it should be part of it, because
Yes.
without it, you're just doing the
Yeah.
same old,
Yeah.
because you stick to what
Yeah.
you know, and you stick to the safe path. But
Yeah.
and I think so. What we're talking about is we're talking about methodologies and tools that fit in an agile
Exactly.
organization,
Exactly.
which is an agile way of working, an agile way of thinking.
Yeah.
But we are talking from the context of a linear waterfall stage gate kind of
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't fit. But it's
No.
so that makes you insecure. But the
Yeah.
point is that you never have enough data, so
No.
you will always need more data,
Yeah.
and that's the point.
Yes.
It's a continuous conversation. So, do I have enough data? Does it validate it when I just made one map or two maps? No, you
No,
didn't.
but it's even, every customer has a unique journey in some way. Maybe not in the interaction through your standard products, but before and after, we're all quite different. And of course, there are kind of cohorts that you can think of. But your goal is to every time make little prototypes to figure out which options resonate the best
Okay.
with the biggest cohort.
Okay, so I think we covered the data question. Thank you very much for having this conversation with me, and well, we'll see you soon.
All right.